Hey there, I'm Brian Conway from achievesuccess.co.uk and this is 4 Minute Friday. Hello again. I hope you've had a great week of selling, or if those of you that might be joining me for the first time, this is 4 Minute Friday, where I take just a few minutes of your time to share with you a tip or strategy or tactic that will help you have a great week of selling going forward. Now, this week I want to talk about numbers and why sales is not a numbers game. You'll hear that all the time, that sales is a numbers game, that if you throw enough mud at the wall, something will stick. If you have enough appointments, you'll make some sales. If you deal with enough opportunities, you will close enough business. But I'm going to change your thinking on that just a little bit in just a second. But before I do, I want to just talk about the whiteboard behind me, because it has relevance to this conversation. A lot of people commented last week and saw the video and said, my God, you have an extremely busy whiteboard, all that, scribing on it, what's all that about? And I thought I'd just take a moment to explain what this is, but in the context of what I want to talk about this week. You see, this is often what I will do with a new client. We will sit down here in the office and we'll just whiteboard and brainstorm what it is they're sort of trying to achieve, and put a bit of a plan together and look at all the different options. And that gives us a whole host of different sort of activities we might address. So let me just clear this off, most of this off for the moment, because what I want to do is focus on this initial blue area that you might be able to see here in the middle. I appreciate there's a bit of sunlight shining on it, but I'll explain exactly what that is in a second. So let me just clean this up for a moment. In fact, let me just stop there for a second, because even this activity here, box ticking, I do even clarify with my clients whether they are genuinely looking for a change and improvement in the sales performance of their sales team, or are they just going through a box checking exercise, as in, are they just looking to maintain their investors in people standard and therefore they need to put people through some training? Or are they just checking a box in someone's PIP, their personal improvement plan, to be able to say, well, we gave you training and therefore the responsibility was yours to improve. That's not what I do. So let's get rid of that. I help businesses make more sales, and the right mindset is important to do that. So there we go, we've cleaned this up as best I can. I'm leaving that bit in there for the moment. So this is the bit that is most important when I work with a new client, because here, if you can see it, we start with a number. We start with a figure that the business is trying to achieve. Maybe overall sales, it may be individual sales volume, it may be the sales of a new product or service, but we've got to have a target, we've got to have a goal to start with. And that's what brings me to today's subject. See, people talk about it being a numbers game. The expression I prefer to use is sales is a metrics game. So the definition for the word metric is a standard for measurement. And the key word there is measurement. So when it comes to sort of numbers in a sales scenario, it's the metrics that are important, not just the volume of activity that you actually do, which is what a lot of people focus on. So let me explain what I do with my clients, and then you can model that for your own benefit to help you be more efficient and effective in what you do and how you sell and the amount of business that you close. So what I do is I start with the end in mind. In fact, hang on, I'm just going to dip into my bookcase here. Famous book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And one of those habits is to start with the end in mind. And that's the first metric. That's the first thing we need to measure, is what is our goal, what is our objective. So here, you may not be able to see it very well, so I'll just replicate it here and we can step through it step by step. We start with a goal of revenue or sales or GP, gross profit, whatever it is, whatever metric it is that we use to measure success. So let's say we are starting, as we had here with this client, a figure of 500K. Right? They need to create an additional $500,000 in sales for a number of their sales team members. So the key there is then to work out backwards with regards to the activities, the types and volume of activity that you do, rather than just being a numbers or a volume game kind of pushing forward. You'll see what I mean by that in a moment. So when talking to this client, we said, what's their average order value? And it was around 20k. So if we can get a better pen than that, you'll be able to see. And it was around 20k. Okay, so that means they would need to do 25 sales. Now you could break that down and you could say, well, 25 sales maybe over a year, let's say 10 months, that's 2.5 sales a month. Well, we'll round it up to 3, so 3 sales per month. Now you have a very specific metric to measure the performance of your sales people or your personal sales activity. Are you closing on average 3 sales a month? Now, to get to that point, we can work that back as well with regards to other activities like prospecting and proposal submission or appointments or sales presentations or whatever it might be. Because to close 3 sales, you may have to do 9 or 12 or 15 actual presentations or submit 15 proposals, depending what your success ratio is, or your closing ratio. And again, another metric which you should know. But let's say it was 1 in 3, as we talked about with this client here. So they had to close 1 in 3 sales or 1 in 3 proposals. Now, to submit a proposal, they had to obviously have a number of customer meetings, and a percentage of those customer meetings would then turn into the customer requesting some information. So that's 1 in 3, which gave them 9 proposals they had to submit per month. They found that they had to do about 1 in 5 meetings became a request for proposal. So that meant now they had to do 5 9s. They had to be doing 45 appointments a month. So that would mean they'd have to be doing 2-point-something appointments a day, assuming a 20-day month, working days. So you can't do 2.3 or whatever that would equate to. It'd have to be 3. So they need to be doing, to ensure they hit target, that they do the volume of sales that they need to do and the volume of sales per month based on the conversion ratios at each segment of their funnel. And this is what I call funnel segmentation, where we actually look at each segment of the funnel and work out what we need to do at each segment to improve performance. But here we can look at each segment and work out exactly what activity and measure the exact activity that needs to take place. So not just doing a volume of it as in numbers, but actually measuring exactly what we're doing and what we need to do. And then you can start to potentially identify gaps, because the first thing that should be noticeable from that is if you're doing less than 3 appointments a day, if you've got a salesperson on the road and they're not doing 3 appointments a day, then based on those conversion ratios, they are not going to hit target and make the ultimate number for the business. Now, there are different things we can tweak within here, of course. Maybe then we try and get their volume of appointments up. Maybe we try and improve 1 in 5 to 1 in 4 or 1 in 3, and therefore more of their appointments are turning into proposals, and then based on the previous ratios, again, that would now work. So you've got metrics. You've got numbers that you can use in the form of measurement of activity to work out exactly what activity needs to take place to be successful. So you start with the end in mind and you work back through your numbers rather than just doing volume. I see too many salespeople, and particularly those that are behind target, just trying to increase their activity but not really knowing if they are doing the right things in the right place that would actually have a measurable, again, comes back to metrics, a measurable impact on their sales performance. So this is what I want you to do. Take your sales for the last quarter and look at how many deals you actually closed. Divide one by the other and it will give you an average order value. Now work out how many of those orders you would need to close to actually hit target. Are you on target? Are you doing enough business? If you're not, then work your way back through that process to work out where you need to put more effort into. Is it prospecting to fill your pipeline? Is it more appointments or better quality appointments to lead to more proposals or presentations? Whatever your sales process is, and then take that number of appointments and proposals, etc., and work out if you are going to hit target, or whether you're going to absolutely crush your target. Because if you want to smash your target and earn shed loads of money, then you can work out what additional activity you need to be doing to make sure you exceed your target, and then start to get into accelerators or bonuses, or additional bonuses that may be part of your pay plan should they exist. So that's what I want to talk about this week. Metrics is key. The measurement of activity, not just doing numbers as in volume. So I hope you found that useful. Sales managers watching this, do these numbers for each of your salespeople. It can be quite alarming. I had people in the sales team recently that we did this exercise with, and it turned out that some of them weren't even covering their wages, let alone making money for the business. So take a few minutes, start with the end in mind, work back with some of these basic metrics to identify whether you're going to be successful and what you need to do to improve that should you decide you need to. Worst case scenario, or even best case scenario perhaps, you'll at least see that you are doing the right things to make sure that the metrics add up and that you will be successful this year. So there you go, that's it for 4 Minute Friday. I trust you got great value this week. As always, please do like and share or comment, I'd appreciate that. Subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube or wherever, and please apply what I teach. Don't just listen to me and go, oh, that's a good tip. Actually work it into your sales activity, because it's the application of knowledge that makes the difference, not just knowing it. Another famous quote, you'll hear me say this all the time, and it's from this very book that I mentioned, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, is to know and not to do is not to know. So you know this stuff, do it, and you'll see the impact on results. This has been 4 Minute Friday. I'm Brian Conway. Please have a great weekend and a really successful week of selling ahead, and I look forward to seeing you next Friday. Take care.